Onsra.
The e-skate brand founded by YouTuber Fabian Dorig in May 2019 is still here after 2 years. In this video, I'll give you my thoughts on Onsra's latest electric skateboards, reveal whether Onsra boards are actually Swiss products, and tell you why I feel Onsra may become one of the top e-skate brands. At the time I'm making this video, Onsra sells 2 series of electric skateboards, the Black Carve 2 and the Challenger. The Black Carve 2 falls in the same category of relatively portable all-terrain boards as the Evolve GT-R, Wildgo AT2, X-Way Atlas, etc. The Challenger, however, doesn't really fit any category. The most similar board I can think of is the Evolve Stoke. Both the Black Carve 2 and Challenger are available in 2 different drive systems, belt drive and direct drive. In my case, I have the Black Carve 2 with belt drive and the Challenger with direct drive. As you saw in my uphill battle video, the Black Carve 2 was one of the top performers, and the motors remained cooler than all of the competing boards. The direct drive motors on my Challenger are the same beefy motors that were used on the original Black Carve. The speed controller in both boards is the same reliable Hobbywing ESC used by most of the direct competitors, and the remote is the standard Hobbywing remote with a telemetry display. All Onsra boards purchased since June 4th should have the standby feature, which lets you turn on the board with just the remote. The battery on the Black Carve 2 is 648 watt-hours made up of 21700 Samsung 50E cells in a 12S3P arrangement. This battery capacity is about 25% higher than most of the direct competitors. On the Challenger, the battery is 432 watt-hours, 12S2P, and also using Samsung 50E cells. 432 watt-hours is quite a lot for a board that doesn't use all-terrain wheels. Just for context, it's nearly triple the battery capacity of the Evolve Stoke. The Black Carve 2 deck is 100 centimeters long, making it 6 centimeters longer than the original Black Carve. The Challenger is 90 centimeters long, has a deep concave and a kicktail. This is not a short board. In fact, it has more standing area than all of my other electric skateboards. Both boards use 4mm foam grip tape, which is slightly thicker than those used by competitors. Although the length of the 2 boards are only different by 10 centimeters, the stock wheelbase on the Challenger is shorter by 30 centimeters. Both boards use double kingpin trucks. The durometer of the bushings are 100A, which means they're as hard as they come. But because these trucks use cone bushings, the boards are still highly maneuverable. And with the Challenger's shorter wheelbase, it's even more maneuverable. Sort of, but not really. I'll talk more about that later. The stock pneumatic tires and rubber wheels on the Black Carve 2 both make the ride far more comfortable than standard urethane wheels. And the stock cloud wheels on the Challenger, while not as comfortable as the rubber wheels, provide a good balance of comfort and range. As for the appearance, I'd say they're more attractive than most of the direct competitors. I don't really consider them Swiss design though, at least not in the graphic design sense. But perhaps they're Swiss design in that they were designed in Switzerland. Or were they? In Onsra's various websites, you see phrases like Swiss design or Swiss product or engineered and designed in Switzerland. How much of that is true? Or is it one of those Ben Kenobi-isms where it's true from a certain point of view?
A certain point of view?
Furthermore, Onsra boards have at times been called rebrands. Rebrand is a loosely used term, but when people use it in electric skateboarding, they're normally talking about a company or individual buying existing products, slapping their own logo on them, and then reselling them at higher prices. Is that the business model of Onsra? Is that why they charge $1,500 and up for their boards? Let's talk about the rebrand claim first. There have been at least a couple reasons that some people called Onsra boards rebrands, but the biggest reason was a board called the One Wow Hawk, which looked almost identical to the original Onsra Black Carve. The specs of the 2 boards were actually different, but the One Wow was available on Alibaba for a much lower price. Alibaba is where many aspiring entrepreneurs go to find choppable products to resell under their own brands. And it seems some people assumed that's what Fabian did with Onsra. But the Onsra Black Carve actually came out before the One Wow. Fabian didn't have exclusive rights to the design, so his factory partner was free to sell a similar product under their own brand. Obviously, that was not a good arrangement, but that's not the case anymore with the Black Carve 2 and Challenger. This time, the designs of the two boards are exclusively Onsra's. The reason I bring all this up is because I've seen false rebrand accusations plague another brand in the past. But what about Onsra boards being Swiss products? Are they considered Swiss simply because Fabian is Swiss? Or is there more to it? ShredLights make riding at night safer and make your boards look twice as premium. ShredLights recently released the Skateboards single pack, which includes one SL200 light and a pair of mounts. With one light and two mounts, you can easily move the light from one board to another. The pack comes with your choice of either the headlight or tail light, and whichever type of mount you want. Choose the standard mount to position the light in the center, making your board the F16 of electric skateboards. The Skateboards single pack is the most affordable skateboard pack that ShredLights has ever offered. Get it through dquan.com/ShredLights. At first glance, the Black Carve 2 seems like yet another all-terrain board using a Hobbywing ESC and Dongxingwei motors. It's a good combination, but there are plenty of other boards like that cost a lot less. While the Black Carve 2 is one of the top performers in its category today, since it's using the same electronics that are commonly found on other boards, nothing's to stop a competitor from matching or surpassing its specs the very next day, and likely at a lower price. So why should anyone consider paying a premium for an Onsra? In my opinion, it's the same reason that some people are willing to pay close to $2,000 for an Evolve board. Onsra is succeeding in an area where the Chinese e-skate brands struggle: localization. For many e-skate customers, the biggest fear in buying a board is spending your hard-earned money on a product that either arrives defective or becomes defective, and then cannot easily be serviced. This is a big frustration that I have with some e-skate companies. They say they're working on local support, but it just doesn't seem like a priority for them. It does, however, seem to be a priority for Onsra. Onsra now has a bunch of resellers around the globe. All of them are able to handle repairs, all of them carry inventory so you get fast shipping, and all of them have local phone numbers you can call and speak to someone fluent in your language. Several resellers even have physical stores where you can try out the boards. Instead of the industry standard 6-month warranty, Onsra aims to cover their products for 2 years. That's 1 year for the battery, 2 years for everything else, excluding normal wear and tear. This 2-year coverage isn't official yet, but it'll apply to anywhere in the world, not just in the EU where it's a requirement. Global resellers, local support, 2-year warranty, on top of having one of the best performing boards in its category. Personally, I think Onsra is on track to becoming one of the top e-skate brands. Maybe. I think the Black Carve 2 is one of the best boards in its category today, but the Challenger, honestly, wasn't for me. My main issue with the board is the wheel bite, which I was able to resolve, but I think the stock design could use some improvement. It's not for me, but maybe it's for you. I go into detail about that and more on my website, dquan.com. I also have issues with a few of Onsra's claims about their boards, and I'm not talking about variable stuff like range. The battery capacities are labeled as 756 watt-hours for the Black Carve 2 and 504 watt-hours for the Challenger. You could say those numbers are true from a certain point of view, but the problem is none of the competitors calculate battery capacities using the max voltage, which is what Onsra did. If Onsra were to use nominal voltage like everyone else, the Black Carve 2 would be 648 watt-hours, not 756, and the Challenger would be 432 watt-hours, not 504. Those are still impressive numbers compared to the competition, but they're substantially lower than the numbers shown on the boards. Onsra's websites show 2 numbers, but showing the higher number is totally unnecessary, and frankly, it's misleading. The recharge times are not accurate. The website claims 5 to 6 hours for the Black Carve 2, when it should really be closer to 7 hours. and 3 to 4 hours for the Challenger when it should be closer to 5 hours. When I asked about those lower numbers, the reason I'm given is that people wouldn't normally discharge their batteries to empty, but when I look at recharge times, I assume they're from empty to full, and I'm sure most other people do as well. It's not unusual for a manufacturer to exaggerate claims, or even mistakenly give incorrect info, but some of these claims are a bit egregious, particularly the battery capacities, and they make me feel like I have to double check everything they say about their boards. For example, quote-unquote, Swiss product. So, are Onsra boards actually Swiss products? Do they have Swiss design? Are they self-engineered like they say on their websites? Before I did my research for this video, I thought Onsra was just Fabian himself collaborating with a factory in China. Turns out Onsra actually has 5 people, and multiple members of the team are involved in the design and prototyping process. How much of the product development happened in Switzerland versus at the factory in China, I don't really know. It's common knowledge that the electronic components were designed and made in China, but I assume the decks, grip tape designs, and the enclosures were at least conceptualized and drafted by the team in Switzerland. So sure, you can say Swiss design, self-engineered, etc. But I think this Ben Kenobiism with the Swiss this and that and the questionable claims are all unnecessary. Onsra has much stronger selling points that they can focus on. When you buy an Onsra, you don't just get a high-performance, reliable board. Unlike most of the competitors, Onsra has resellers that provide local support and repairs in all of the major markets. As for how well Onsra will be able to keep those resellers stocked with boards and spare parts, and how well they'll handle the 2-year warranty over the long term, we'll have to see. It's only a matter of time when the pandemic ends and supply chains get back to normal. In any case, Onsra has already done more in setting up localized support than many of the other e-skate startups. I think that's a huge win for Onsra and their customers. Anyway, Chapadola.
From a certain point of view.